I swear, 2023 is the year of the sequels. Jedi Survivor was excellent, Remnant 2 is phenomenal, and I have no doubt that Lords of the Fallen is going to blow me away as well. I'm on the fence about doing a breakdown for Lords of the Fallen since it is undeniably a true Souls-like, so whatever unique mechanics it brandishes will have to be pretty amazing to warrant a video. I guess we'll see when we get there. For right now though, I am here to make the case for why you, the watcher of this video, should be playing Remnant 2. First things first, a quick look at the game's developer, Gunfire Games. The story starts with David Adams. David, alongside some former employees of another developer, founded Vigil Games in 2005. Vigil Games was acquired by THQ the following year, and then Vigil blessed us with two classic games that still hold up to this day, Darksiders and Darksiders 2. In 2012, only a few months after Darksiders 2 hit the shelves, THQ filed for bankruptcy and subsequently closed their doors the following year. On the last day of Vigil Games' operations, David Adams got a call from Crytek asking him to help establish an American branch for the company, and thus, Crytek USA was born with David Adams as the CEO. Unfortunately, Crytek USA was woefully underfunded due to financial challenges of Crytek as a whole. At this point, David was sick of having to rely on handouts from larger companies, so, in July of 2014, he decided to start an independent studio, Gunfire Games. Founded with a team of just 7 people, Gunfire Games' team quickly expanded from then on. For funding, the studio developed some VR titles for the Oculus Rift and Samsung Gear VR headsets. After talks with Nordic Games, later known as THQ Nordic, David got to take his team back to his roots and develop the Darksiders 2 Definitive Edition, which released in 2015. In 2018, we got Darksiders 3, then Remnant from the Ashes in 2019, then Remnant's VR to console remastered prequel, Chronos Before the Ashes in 2020, and Remnant 2 in this, the Year of Our Emperor 2023. I may be biased in my approach to discussing Remnant 2, because Remnant from the Ashes was a standout hit for me, and Remnant 2 just masterfully ascends the existing formula to greater heights. If you didn't play the first game, 1.
What are you, stupid? What's the matter with you? I apologize. What's the matter with you? Sorry. What the fuck is the matter with you?
And 2. Actually, no, that covers it. As far as the story goes, I won't spoil any of it, but where Remnant 1 went the Dark Souls route of scatter the pieces and leave it up to the player to decipher the story, Remnant 2 does a better job of arranging the story pieces in such a way that you understand not only the story, but the reason why the game itself operates the way that it does. Your game will start with you customizing a character, choosing from just enough options to make your character feel unique. Then you dash through a short tutorial and end up in the main hub, Ward 13, just a short jog away from the main hub of the first game. After you make your rounds and get acquainted with the various vendors and services the ward has to offer, you'll be directed to Wallace, who will allow you to select your starting primary archetype. Archetypes are essentially classes, which will greatly affect your playstyle. Initially, you'll get to choose from 4 archetypes. If you pre-ordered the game, you can select an additional 5th archetype as an early unlock. There are a total of 11 archetypes currently in the game, and unlocking any archetype once will unlock that archetype as a selectable starting archetype for any new character you make. Archetype. Each archetype is well explained, with some being great for solo play, like the Challenger, some being great for co-op play, like the Field Medic, and some being a good fit for both, like the Handler. The Handler gets a dog companion that can distract enemies, tank damage, and even revive you. Plus, you can pet the dog. It's a win-win. I planned on doing my first run-through solo, so I chose the Challenger archetype in order to maximize my survivability, and because I like the armor set. Armor is more for aesthetics than functionality, which I very much appreciate. Anyway, archetypes come with an extremely helpful prime perk, a selection of 3 ultimates for you to choose from, and a handful of perks to further cozy into your role. Archetypes also come with their own unique archetype traits, which you benefit from as long as you have the associated archetype equipped. More on traits later. Archetypes are gained from an item called an engram. During your campaign, you can find or purchase other engrams and then take them to Wallace to spend a fair amount of resources to unlock other archetypes to equip. Once you unlock your secondary archetype slot, you will be able to utilize the skills, the perks, and the archetype trait of a second archetype, but only your prime archetype's prime perk will be active. Engrams for the other starting classes can be bought from some of the other vendors around Ward 13, and the more rare engrams will have to be found in certain worlds or side quests. As a challenger, my starting weapons were a shotgun, a revolver, and an iron greatsword. You can use any ranged or melee weapons with any archetype you want, that is entirely up to you. However, a word of advice, you will have to upgrade your weapons to deal enough damage to reliably dispatch the enemies you'll face, and that will leave you broke most of the time. Settle into a long gun, a sidearm, and a melee weapon as soon as possible in order to have the easiest time throughout your adventure. Weapons can be equipped with mods and mutators that further increase their deadliness. Since my shotgun is obviously close ranged, I slotted in a mod that allows me to fire long range shots that explode into AoE damage. Boss weapons come with their own unique and non-removable mods already slotted in, but you can still slot a mutator to help you out with things like critical damage chance or ammo regeneration. Open mod slots can only be found on ranged weapons, and certain mutators can only be used in melee weapons or ranged weapons specifically. Mutators can also be upgraded, gaining a significant boost to their benefits once they reach their maximum level, but I rarely ever do this because I spend all my scrap on upgrading the weapons themselves. In addition to weapons, you can equip up to 4 rings, an amulet, and a relic, which is your starting method of healing. There are dozens of rings in Remnant 2 with varying effects that can come together with the rest of your loadout to really give you the edge in pretty much any combat situation. To further improve my survivability during my solo run, I equipped rings that activate health recovery or shield me at certain thresholds, an amulet that gasses surrounding enemies with poison damage whenever I swap weapons, and I maxed out a trait that grants me lifesteal for 3% of any instance of damage I deal. Combined with the fact that I use a shotgun primary and a poison throwing secondary, the constant damage over time to enemies or bosses keeps my health topped off to the point where I barely have to use my relic.
I am invincible! Invincible!
Traits are essential stat bonuses like increases to elemental resistance, damage reduction, or mod power generation that you can level up via trait points. Both traits and trait points can be gained from bosses, by completing certain side quests, or just found during your travels. Each archetype comes with one archetype trait that initially only benefits you while you have the associated archetype equipped. The archetype trait levels up for free alongside its archetype, and once it maxes out at level 10, the archetype trait becomes a normal trait which benefits you regardless of your equipped archetypes, but you will have to spend trait points to level it up again. The story events of Remnant 2 take place in the campaign mode, which will have you hopping between different worlds, each with randomly chosen larger areas and adjoining side dungeons. Because of this, the bosses you'll fight, the equipment you'll find, the traits you'll earn, and the quests you'll come across will be different each and every time you play through the game. Your campaign progress can be re-rolled if you want to restart the story for some reason, but if you just want to roll a specific world again because the weapon or trait you want isn't in the version of the world that you got, you can select Adventure Mode and roll a playthrough of just the world you want. Specific worlds can only be unlocked for that purpose once you have beaten that world's world boss in your campaign. In Remnant 1, any bosses you killed would award you with a material, which you can then bring back to McCabe at Ward 13 to shape that material into either a weapon mod or a boss weapon. World bosses are a different beast, and I love it. Just like in the first game, world bosses in Remnant 2 can be fought in 2 different ways, usually tied to an action you take during the quest leading up to it, or an action you take during the boss fight itself. If you were to handle a world boss one way and get material A, you may get a weapon mod from it. If you were to handle a world boss the other way and get material B, you may get a boss weapon from it. You can only kill bosses one time per playthrough, so you will either have to re-roll that world for another chance at it, or co-op with a player who is on the boss you are looking for and help them kill it. I may as well talk about co-op now since I'm on it. World stones are basically checkpoints that allow you to travel between any other unlocked world stones, or join players in co-op. Joining other players is enjoyable and worthwhile for a few reasons. First, of course, co-op is always more fun. I like being Billy Badass on my own, but co-op randoms are always wildcards which make for a unique experience each time. 2, anything that is found will be awarded to all players in that lobby. This is fantastic if you're world hopping in search of a specific piece of gear or that alternate world boss material. You can legitimately join a friend for co-op and play through the entire game together from start to finish, with everyone involved gaining every piece of loot you guys come across. Of course, the more players you have in a game, the tougher the enemies and bosses will be, so keep that in mind. If any players die, another player can spend a relic use on the downed player in order to revive them. This game may be inspired by the Souls genre, but you will not lose anything but a small amount of dignity every time you die. Remnant's biggest draw, I feel, is its core gameplay loop. You slap the world stone and get taken to your first world. Once there, you explore to your heart's content, finding all manner of gear to help you get stronger to face what's ahead, or to fine-tune whatever build you're already running. The main map reveals as you walk around, neatly displaying where you've been and where you have yet to go. Once I hit a new main area, I kill everything, and investigate every nook and cranny of the main area before deciding my next course of action. When I've found all the exits in that main area, I complete all the side dungeons, marked by a rounded door on the map, and find whatever loot is in those, murder whatever boss is waiting for me, or find any quest items I may need to unlock something back in the main area. Now that I am loaded with loot, I continue towards the clearly marked main path. As mentioned earlier, most worlds have a layout that looks something like this, so once all of the side dungeons or quests are done, I kill the world boss, and head back to Ward 13 to upgrade my weapons, use my gained boss materials to further diversify my arsenal, and then head back out to the next area to do it all over again. Even if you don't find the kind of gear you were hoping to find, your thorough exploration will still get you trait points to make you stronger, and archetype levels to improve perks and unlock skills provided by your equipped archetypes, making you even tougher. Not to mention, I've done a particular dungeon 2 separate times and found new loot both times. You may be thinking, it sounds like that would get boring after a while, and in any other game, that'd be true, but this is Remnant. Side dungeons, quests, puzzles, bosses, or the locations themselves can take any shape or form, and when combined with the fact that your assortment of areas to explore is randomly chosen, you won't really know what you're in for. Some highlights from my initial playthrough include getting snuck up on by my worst nightmare of an enemy in the first dungeon I ever played, only for that enemy type to greet me as a boss an hour later, fighting my way up and down an insane asylum in order to kill an SCP that eats dreams, reluctantly taking part in a feast where the food was so horrific that my character could only recover health via cannibalism in the ensuing combat encounter, ending up in Resident Evil, solving the murder of a king at the behest of people that really didn't seem too bothered by the murder itself, getting trampled by deer and fucking dying from it, and being Indiana Jones. And that's just from my one single playthrough so far, which took me roughly 24 hours to complete when all was said and killed. Now, I've explained the positives. Really, the game itself is one big positive. But what about the negatives? I haven't encountered many issues at all during my time in the game. Connection issues did pop up in the beginning of my playthrough, but I was playing solo, so I didn't need to be in an online session anyway. Now that I've been messing around in co-op, some slight latency has caused me to fumble quite a few dodges, but that hasn't been an issue in every session. I distinctly remember Remnant 1 had a slight issue with enemy spawns, where sometimes enemies would just pop up behind you even after you made it your job to eliminate every hostile in the area. In Remnant 2, this was remedied by making it so there's about an 80% chance that shooting at an enemy will cause a larger encounter to happen, with additional enemies spawning literally all around you. When you hear this sound, reload your weapons and prepare for a fight. When you hear this sound, that means a special enemy has you in their sights and is coming for you. Mechanically, everything in Remnant works smoothly together. Some may find an issue with dodging, but not only is it an iframe dodge like in Dark Souls, but there are traits that affect the dodge window, the dodge distance, and stamina regeneration. So with enough playtime, you'll basically be able to dodge every attack, every time. Not to mention, I don't know what it is, but I didn't really get mad any time I died during my playtime. Most of the time it was me panic dodging into a fatal attack, or I could clearly digest what mistake I made, like during this boss, where halfway through it starts using an insta-kill grab attack that I had to constantly watch out for while dodging infinitely respawning additional enemies. I should mention that there are difficulty modes in the game, and I did my solo run on Veteran, which is basically normal. If you begin and are struggling a bit, I did too, but killing every enemy I saw earned me XP to level my archetype and scrap to upgrade my weapons, immediately making it clear that I had some growing to do. Things definitely got harder towards the end of my campaign, but if you require more of a challenge, you can simply reroll your campaign and up the difficulty level. If you're truly a masochist, you can make a hardcore character, because apparently the threat of losing a whole character when you die just does it for some people. It may also be worth mentioning that Remnant 1 had a roguelike mode, which was a lot of fun considering just how many kinds of weapons and whatnot are in the game, and there's a good chance that mode will be returning to Remnant 2 in a future update. here I am rambling on when I want to get back to playing the game. I could have gone into much greater detail for another 20 minutes, but I want to leave all the fun stuff unspoiled for you guys to discover on your own. Remnant 2 is available now on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, and Microsoft Windows, and is an easy contender for Game of the Year. If you'd like to start small and play Remnant from the Ashes, the Complete Edition is currently on sale for like $18 on the Xbox Store and the PlayStation Store, and even cheaper than that on sites like Green Man Gaming. As always, leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and subscribe if you want to see more. This has been Cygnus Jason, and I wish you all safe travels.